bus rounds the corner. It's another year, another proud child whose sorrow stands unspoken. They know she's leaving to serve. If somebody wants to be somebody. Hey, Tony and Dino back in here again to give another spin to one of these exciting bands that he and I kind of decide on, and it seems like we don't run out of these. We're talking about New York, formed in 1975, about the same time as television, and CBGB's the beginning of it. The Talking Heads, David Byrne and the Talking Heads, man. What's your background with them, Dino? Just grew up and they were just kind of there. They were kind of there with me, you know.
Yeah, they've always been around, and they've always been on the peripheral, and they didn't one of the original CBGB bands, in New
Right.
York, but certainly didn't fit that punk rock aesthetic. I think with the Heads, you can lump them in more with television,
Well,
where
yeah, and it's funny that Byrne, France, and Weymouth were all freshmen at the Rhode Island School of Design. They're art students, so there you
oh
go.
yeah,
That's a different angle there. Then
yeah, they were at RISD for years together, and but they are the quintessential New York art band. You know what I mean? They're like they them and television. I think in
yeah,
those you hear a lot of the punk bands, the Ramones, and the bands from that period that played at CBGBs, and then you hear a band like the Heads or Television, who I'm another fan of. I was always
me
a
too. I love them.
I thought Verlaine recently departed from here. Tom Verlaine was
Sure.
amazing,
Oh yeah,
and they are that art school art punk band.
yeah,
That played CBGBs, and that's where they came from. They came from the streets of New York. They are the most one of the most New York centric bands you'll probably hear. You
yeah.
know.
And obviously, you know what's interesting, and I didn't really know about it, but Lou kind of had a hand in guiding them towards getting signed and getting the thing at the big beginning, which surprises me. But I think it's fair to say that they're probably their peak period, and you and I were discussing before we started. There's kind of a lot of unanimity above a lot of critics with these records, but it seemed to me
Right.
that Brian Eno almost joined the band there for 3 or 4 records. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was very influential, and you can see where that turning point came with the albums and the sound of the band and the live performances
Yeah.
and even stretching into the Burn Eno,
Yeah, it
My
seemed
Life
to
in the Bush of
yeah,
Ghost.
it just seemed to build. It seemed like being, one of these. I saw somebody say, when he first came in,
Yeah,
he interfered as little as he could, and then it got a little more
right.
and a little more of a participant, and then I guess when you're into that, well, you're talking about Heroes and Low and that era too as well with Moe. So he was
Yeah,
doing
very
Carson.
influential with Bowie also, and even, we can even move the clock forward and look at the work that he's done with, I don't really listen to them anymore, but with U2.
That's right.
I mean, when he came on board on the U2 juggernaut, you definitely saw the change, the sound, the band, the live performance. Eno had a lot of influence over them, after those first three albums. I mean, that last album, War, was produced by Steve Lillywhite, and then they went right into the Eno phase, correct? I mean, it's been so
Yeah, I
long
mean
since.
it's you got what's so amazing to me
Yeah.
is how big, when you think about how big each of these entities were, the Bowie in that period and then the Talking Heads and stuff. Man, that's enough by itself to
Oh,
make
that
you
puts
an
you in the
amazing.
record books. Yeah. I mean, but I mean, Eno's always been influential not only on himself in his sound and his output, but on so many bands across the spectrum, And he
And
always
these
puts
guys
his
have
in.
their side band like Tom Tom Club with that surprise hit
Oh
that they.
yeah, yeah, Tina and
Wow.
and yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Tina and Chris, went on and had probably the most their single was gigantic. It was top of the charts. and that first Tom Tom Club album.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
guess we should say we're rating again the 8 studio records,
only
leaving out the immensely huge "Stop Making Sense." That was probably their biggest record. You know,
and the name of this band is Talking Heads, I believe.
that's
That's
exactly
isn't that
right.
the other live,
Right.
the
That's
double
right.
album? Now, weirdly, weirdly, and I had a chance to see them earlier, but the only time I ever saw them live was the Stop Making Sense tour with the big band,
Oh
Bernie
my,
Worrell, and it was, I saw it at the Stanley in
oh my God.
Pittsburgh, and it was phenomenal. I mean, they were hitting on all cylinders across the board. That band was tight. It was a big band. They had supplemented, and
I
it
heard about
just,
it.
oh, it
I
was
should have been there, man. I think they played a tour on Merriweather on one of those tours. I don't know,
probably did.
Tongues
Yeah.
or Remain in Light. One of those
But
two.
I
It
thank
was
God
easy.
I got to see him at the Stanley, because it's still to this day one of the best houses in the country. The
Oh,
sound
I
in
love.
that place is phenomenal,
Wow.
phenomenal sound. I mean, it's absolutely perfect from wherever you are in that theater. It's
Yeah.
just wonderful,
It's funny. Pennsylvania has two big things. They have that. They have the Staley Theater, and then they have the Tower Theater in Philadelphia,
in Philadelphia.
which is about as shitty of a sound as you could
Yeah.
possibly. It's an echo bouncing off the walls. It's like an acoustic man never walked in there before.
I haven't been to a shitty theater like that. Oh, I went to the Cleveland to see Mott the Hoople, and they were at the Masonic, and I was actually online with some people the other day in the Mott
Almost.
conversation, and they were at Cleveland, and they all said the same thing. I loved the show, but the sound was absolute garbage.
Oh,
It was like,
God.
it was terrible, man, terrible.
I saw Todd there. I saw Todd at the I must say at the Tower Theater, and I saw Elvis
Yeah,
Costello spin the wheel tour. For some
yeah.
reason, they wanted to have it at the Tower Theater when he had that run of nights with the attractions, King of America, and all that
Yeah,
shit. He had Jim Keltner one night, and then the attractions the next night. Why
yeah.
they picked there, I don't know. It was the crappiest thing, but yeah. Well, anyway, man,
Let's
let's get
jump on this
rolling
one.
with these. You want me to kick it off this
Yeah,
time?
why don't you do that?
I will, man, and I'm going to start with one that I do not have on vinyl. I told Dino there's a couple I don't have, which is ridiculous, but I've never really. It tells you I haven't been playing this stuff an awful lot,
Yeah,
and that would be their Exit Toast. To me, the least T heads, with Blind and Nothing But Flowers really being the only songs I'm
yeah,
talking about. The one with the naked with the ape on the front and releasing in 1988, March of 1988, which was kind of the nadir of sound of music. And they still, the thing of it is, you can say about this album though is the album's even at the end, when they tried to do their own stuff still, and that it's still David Byrne. Once that Tropicalia and once that
yeah.
world thing got into him, man, he just never. And that was really born, you say, out of that big tour. That was when you
He
first that
never
sound.
gave that up. He explored that further.
He did, and all the great releases on Luca Bop and all that stuff. His
Oh
like
yeah.
great stuff. But that's my number. That's my number 8. Is their
That's your
last
number 8. Well, we're going to flip on this one because my number 8 is from 1986, and it was the soundtrack, the companion piece to True Stories. There we go. That's, yeah. It was a good. I mean, it was a good idea, and it was a good. It was a decent album. The film was good. I liked it. It was fun. That was what Wild Wild Life was the big
love
hit
it,
off
and I
of.
love and I like Love for Sale too. I like
And
some.
yeah, and People Like Us. I like that
Yeah,
that
me too.
song.
I like
I thought
some of
that
his.
was a great song.
I do. Puzzle on Ebony.
And then there was more of that Zydeco
It
type
was.
flavor to
Yeah,
Radiohead type thing.
yeah. You're correct. Well, that's your number 8. Well, that's my number 7 too, buddy. So we're good.
So
We're
we
we're
flip flopped on
falling right in
that,
here.
right?
Number 7, True Stories for me. I like the film. I know the film was kind of in that Lynch, David Lynch, Quay
Yeah,
brothers, and all that stuff. That era of weirdo freak out films, and it was kind of a scratch your head thing. But I thought it was kind of humorous
yeah,
in parts, especially when they got the high school and all the people dancing and stuff. And that was so ludicrous. I mean, it was really,
Right.
that's my number
Yeah.
seven, man. True
Well,
story.
no, I like that. That yeah, and my number seven, it we'll just flip it. Mine is Naked, and that was your number eight. Nothing but flowers.
That's about
Um,
the best song, I think.
yeah, I love that song.
Me too.
And kind of Chris and Tina both got a chance to groove a little bit more on that
It's true.
album, and it was more Latin and high life, that type of thing, like you said.
Yeah,
And that's where if you look at that, actually you can look at Naked as like the jumping off point of David's solo career.
yeah. It
You know what
sounds
I mean?
some of
This
it
is
does.
where I'm headed. I brought the bands with me now, but this is it. This was their probably least acclaimed album, Naked. But you can tell that that's where he goes. He goes further into that spectrum,
Big Daddy. Yeah,
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 absolutely.
yeah.
But
Well, uh,
yeah, I mean, listening to that Naked again, I liked it better than I did the first time I heard it. I dismissed it. I don't know why, but I dismissed the album. I really, really I have more of an appreciation now listening to like fans didn't want to hear any salsa, but I kind of dug it now as I'm older and I listen to more. Now if I was a hardcore head 18 years old, I'd be like, what the hell is this, you know what I mean? But the longer I think it has some pretty decent shelf life for me.
yeah. I don't think they made really a real bad record. I mean,
They never made anything unlistenable. You know what I
and
mean?
they've all aged pretty well. I think.
They've all aged pretty well. And
Yeah,
David's when he and with Tina and Chris and what they've done and I've not gone to see the Ballou and Harrison thing. I
yeah,
want to go see that. I've always wanted to see that for about the past year or so since they've been doing it.
yeah. I
Uh,
didn't know they were picking that
that
back
that
up again.
Remain in Light. It's called a Remain in
Really?
Light tour.
Wow.
Yeah, well, Adrian played on those.
Yeah,
He was
I
in the
know.
band, man. I mean, this isn't some guy that Jerry just went, oh, hey, I'll get Adrian Blue to do it. They both played in that band.
Absolutely.
So, and
Absolutely.
he was at the show, the Stop Making Sense tour. Adrian was on guitar.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember. Remember the film in the film. Yeah.
They put a huge band together, man.
That was boy with Bernie Worrell too, man. That
Oh,
was
Bernie Worrell on keyboards.
insane.
Fuck.
Anyway, man, I'm going to six, and I'm going to go to the top now. 77, Talking Head 77. Before sniffs around the band, they're here.
Yeah.
They're getting started here. They've got produced by Tony Bongioni, who,
Yes.
yes, believe it or not, is the cousin of John Bongioni.
Bon Jovi. And did he not work with the Ramones?
He sure did. He sure did.
Yes. I thought he did.
It's engineered by Ed Stasium, the
Ed
same guy that
Stasium.
engineered the Ramones, the same guy that engineered the Replacements. So you know,
Yeah.
it's it.
Ed's living out in Colorado now, I believe.
Wow.
I was on social media with him for quite a few years and he kind of abandoned it and he came back. But he left and I think he left LA. I believe he was in LA. And I think he's in Colorado and he still works occasionally. Ed does.
Wow. So
Yeah.
he needs to have an agent and somebody call him here with this thing.
I
Yeah,
love
we're
it.
talking Psycho Killer. Everybody knows that. Love comes to town.
Yeah.
New Feeling, I guess is there pulled up. Don't worry about the garbage. First week last week. It's a new thing, man. I mean, you hear this, and it really kind of fits in. It's kind of
Yeah.
not exactly, but it's kind of Buzzcocks-ish kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. 77. Yeah. And funny thing is, Bon Jovi, he also produced Mecha's disco version of the Star Wars theme. Do you remember that?
Sure, dude, that was
That disco
talk about a
that was
hit.
him. That was Tony.
He's making a lot of money. Gee, money.
Oh yeah, that was a big
Oh my
hit
God.
during that year.
Wow.
Yeah,
That
that
is my number six.
book I read. Yeah, that was yeah. So 77 is your 6. Well, my 6 is Little Creatures from 1985.
And this is the one right here. With
Yeah.
baby, baby. Please don't. You gotta make him stay up all night. That's
And She Was and Road to Nowhere, the big
yeah,
hits.
great record. I think it's just still good. They really sharpened it up. Stay up late though.
It is.
Television Man's kind of funny. I didn't know what that was. Road to Nowhere is one that they marked out. Look at the outfits on the back of this sucker, man.
Oh,
Holy.
yeah.
And what's this? This is a Reverend Howard Finster, I guess,
That was Howard
from
Finster that did the cover,
yep.
the artwork.
Yep. I got to
Absolutely.
take it out probably. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Look at those pants, man. I used to have a girl that worked for me. I used to have a girl that was great when I was in one of my bands in 10 Below when I was in DC. I used to have a girl
Yeah.
that worked for me, man, and she was like into seamstress and she loved this record and she would like sew me pants like this and shit all the time. So I get 2 or 3 pair of pants with this.
Really?
Her nickname was Tina because she liked Weymouth so much. That
Did
was
she?
every her name was Nicole Nicola. But she was a French
Wow.
girl, but she worked for us. But her she was a seamstress, man. She was a really nice girl. She's red haired, really nice gal, and I don't know whatever happened to her, man. But I worked with her in D.C. at the Penguin Feather on M Street So if you would happen to see this, I'm just kidding you. I for a long time, but that's my number.
Do you
What was
know that Little Creatures also? What do you? There's
Yeah,
another.
that's my next one too. Little Creatures. That's my number 5 too.
Well, my number 6. My number 6 was Little Creatures. Do you know it remains the Talking Heads' best-selling album of all
This one
time?
does.
Little Creatures, best-selling
No,
album.
they had a hit really with it.
Well, those two hits were big, and She Was and Road to Nowhere.
I
They were
guess
pretty big
issue the video. I remember. Yeah,
in the tour, and
it's so weird. Yeah.
yeah.
So
But
yeah, that's my number. That's mine too.
that's
So,
your number 5.
yeah, I'm following you, Dino.
We're
I'm
close. Now,
here.
my number 5 is a little album called More Songs About Buildings and Food
Do not have
from
it on.
1978.
Jeez,
Okay.
and I'm
Now
following.
that was of course Take Me to the River, the Al Green cover on that album.
Yeah,
Probably the
that was
best
the
known
big one,
track.
and that's the
Yeah.
Eno's first one. That was the first one that Eno wasn't
It was
involved
the
in.
first album produced by Eno. And
They they
he first saw, guess where he first saw the band?
don't know.
He saw them in London opening for the Ramones.
Kind of weird, strange. They recorded at Compass Point over there in Bahamas, like any other, I guess, island
Yes.
record. But it was on Sire, but that was it sounds like an island production or something. But
Thank You for
what?
Sending Me an Angel.
Yep,
Open. Uh,
very critically acclaimed to the top of the heap, man.
oh yeah, more songs. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's your number what?
That's my number. More Songs About Buildings and Food is my number 5 from
Well,
1978.
keep it up there, Joe. I'm chasing Dino. I wish it wasn't, but I can't move the other ones, man. That's my number 4. I mean, that's
Yeah.
where it goes. It's the first of the Eno collaborations. Again, my view
Yeah.
is the more Eno was involved, the more bizarre it got, the better. I liked it personally. And again, Take Me to the River. I'm so tired of it. I like the big country and this is a decent record. The girls want to be with the girls. Good, found a job too. Yeah, but it's just not. I think everybody loves this, and this is one of those records that people say that they like a lot, but when they play them, at least in my view, is some of these other ones we haven't gotten to kind of are the ones that are preferred.
Right. Right.
But anyway, that's my number. What 4?
4?
Yep,
Is that your number 4? More
my number
songs?
4, brother.
My number 4 is your number. Oh God, what was it? Talking Heads 77.
I already knew before you said it, man. I thought it couldn't be.
77.
It could be one of the other 3, man.
77.
Yeah. Now it looks to me like, and we've already discussed this one, but it looks to me like it's fair to say this was a pretty golden period for them. You know, the
Oh
same
yeah,
period is golden for maybe the stuff. And it's interesting that they have in common. In these periods of peak artistry, but. Yeah, like you say, I haven't seen much, and I didn't really look around, but I haven't seen much dissent that these are like the peaks, and I,
right.
their box office receipts and concert receipts probably reflected that.
Yeah, they re-released "Stop Making Sense." That was, of course, it was nowhere around here, but I would have loved to. I love that. That's one I'd like to have seen in IMAX, but I don't know if they did an IMAX release on that.
That
I
would have
knew
been.
I wasn't going to get to see it.
I'd go with you anything. They got an IMAX, I think, down in either
Oh, there's there
Leesburg.
there's quite a few. I usually go to the one at Air and Space. Uh, but yeah, yeah, 77 more songs. That's a nice double whammy, you know. It's they're fantastic. So
Okay, man.
so we're going to top three now,
We're gonna
right?
go to the top three, and we're gonna get into the tough line. And we may not have the same ones.
Now I think we're gonna separate here.
Number three for me, really one that I love it too, man. What can you say? This is one that was not produced by Brian Eno, but it sounds like it was produced by Brian Eno. It was produced by Talking Heads, and
Right.
it was released in 1983. I'm talking about Burning Down the House, Speaking in Tongues.
You would think that would be with that hit,
What's that?
that would be their biggest selling album, but it wasn't. Like I said, it was it was Little Creatures, but man, I don't think they could ever be more popular. That was their fifth album, and it was amazing. Speaking in tongues,
Making Flippy Floppy, Girlfriend is
making flip.
Better.
This must be
Pull
the
up the
place.
roots. The
Um,
naive melody, which to me is that's just Burning Down the House. I mean, that's probably my favorite one. This must be the play. I love it, man.
and remember, a lot of these tracks appeared on Stop Making Sense,
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So
Oh, they were the peak song.
this was the blueprint for that tour. Speaking in tongues.
And that's my number three, bro. It's my number
Well,
three.
leave that baby right up there because we're totally tied in there.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, speaking in tongues is my number three.
Wow.
Um, so
Cool.
I just like
Uh,
I said, and the reason I love it, it was that blueprint for Stop Making Sense. A lot of those songs appeared on that album and on that tour. So yeah, definitely a lot of tracks there that appeared on the and it was a great album,
oh my
and
God. Yeah.
Bernie Worrell, Alex Weir from the Brothers Johnson on that album, uh, and that's where they really started to expand on the funk influence that had been there for a while,
I must say, what really brought this to mind was I was playing in a band at the time around your local band, 10 Below, and the keyboard player, Chris Ogden, just lost it. I mean, everywhere we went, he played it. He would not take it off the stage. He
It
loved it.
was
Just loved that record, and
so good,
all the time. Oh, I agree. I
so
agree.
good. So we're both tied in, locked in on number three, Speaking in Tongues
Okay,
from
man.
1983.
Are we gonna move here?
Top two.
Change here.
What's your number two?
Number two, man. Uh,
Ah,
Number two, Fear of
your number
Music.
two, Fear
It's
of
a hard
Music.
call for me, man. It's so hard to call. I mean, my
Yeah,
God, this song, drugs, animals, air,
it's just
paper.
there's all thriller, no filler on that album.
I Zembra, man. What a great
Life
version.
during wartime.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
Zimbra on the speaking in tongues on that video. I don't know if it made it on the record, but holy shit,
yeah,
like the peak of the record. I think it's really fantastic. I love this record, man. I can't really deal with either of these other two. I mean,
yeah.
they're so jump ball,
So
man.
Fear of Music is your number two.
That's my number two, man. It's hard to say.
My number two is the last one remaining, and that's Remain in Light is my number two. From 1980, the next album after Fear of Music.
I
And that
agree,
is
man.
also the third and final Talking Heads album with Brian Eno.
That's right.
You know,
I love it. I love I love it because it's the one that I haven't I haven't said yet. So it's my favorite one.
Born Under Punches, man. Uh,
Oh God, yeah, cross-eyed and painless. Oh my God, the
and
overload, the once in a while
nothing. There was a quote I read.
houses.
Nothing quite sounded like Remain in Light before, and nothing really has since that time that it was released.
I agree.
That's
I
it.
think it's without question the most daring, and bravo for them at their point of this career to be deciding to go ahead and present themselves this way. I don't know if they did this covers what they wanted and then they turned it around this way and thought, okay, well maybe this is a little more palatable. I don't know. But I mean, like you say, born under punches, man. Cross side, that whole side, the great.
That whole side's amazing.
You're right.
And they just opened themselves up to all kinds of influences during, for this album.
I love.
They just said, okay, we're gonna do what we really want to do. And just the funk. I mean, set a blueprint for a lot of other bands that were into the punk funk type of scene, and they did it better than anyone. That's the thing. They've done it. They did it better than anyone then, and they do it better than anyone now.
Well, I chased you for a big part of this, and then at the end we diverged here. So recognizing this as my number one, as we with you, and this we're going to recognize the one we just talked about as my number two. This highly innovative album with
Well,
the
what else do you have to say about Remain in Light? Anything else? Is it your number one?
I don't have much more to say other than I agree. I think we've said. I think it was very jarring. It was very innovative. I was surprised they said somebody would take that kind of attack. But yet it was so
Yeah,
danceable. But it was so what got it through was the rhythm. I mean, it's the same thing on everything. They've already had a dynamite but very subversive type of a rhythm section, and
yeah.
that's how it got through.
And they weren't apprehensive about expanding the sound and the band. I
No,
mean, bringing in other players, it had been those four, and they
right,
started to supplement the band, which made the band even more deadly. I mean, when you bring in players like that, I mean,
right.
there there,
Oh my
there were
God,
there were there were pure funk bands of that period that probably didn't want to share a stage with them because
I, I,
they had some of the best players that they supplemented the band with.
they had the
You
best
know,
player, no question, man.
yeah,
Yeah,
Bernie was
this
amazing.
there's nothing like fear. I think Fear of Music and Remain in Light too are to me are pretty much inseparable. I mean, I just think that
Yeah, I mean, Fear of Music is my number one. And that's probably because I loved it was 79. I was still in high school when I bought this. I had songs about buildings and I had 77 and I was digging them, but when this came along, I bought it soon as it came out in 79. I was
well,
what,
it was before. Yeah, yeah, it was
sophomore,
before.
junior, and I was like, "Holy shit." And when the first night I had I had the album on late night, and I listened to Drugs. I listened to the whole thing, and I'd never heard an incredible track like Drugs before.
Oh yeah,
The production, the sound, the separation of what's going on in that, the just the whole alienation, the depersonalization in that track. It was just God, it was, I never heard anything. I just kept playing it. I just kept playing drugs. And then I went around the rest of the album and I played it. When I got that album, I bet you I listened to it 10 times in 2 days, you know?
Oh, I love it too. I loved
And
it too.
I just,
I probably,
and back
yeah.
then, you're in high school and you got to go in your room and you can't have music on at 2 a.m. But I'd have all the lights out and I put my Koss headphones on and I'd crank it up at like 2 in the morning and I'm just sitting there with a candle burning like, oh my God, man. And you're like, holy shit, I've never heard. And the thing is, they had toured around then
Oh yeah.
and I couldn't get to see it. I would love to have seen the Fear Music tour.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It would have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but it's my number one because it hit me. I was ready for Remain in Light. You know what I mean? I was primed by Fear of Music, which is my favorite album, my favorite Heads album. But and then I wasn't expecting anything less than Remain in Light in 1980. It was just, it was that double. Those 2 years with that band are their absolute apex. You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. I love houses in motion. I love all
I
those.
do, and I love Speaking is a fantastic
Oh
album.
yeah. Oh my God.
And but these two, these are the apex of this band. I
No
mean,
doubt.
Fear of Music, and the thing is, you can put anything you want against these. You can put any band you want that's performing now or perform later. Nobody has come close to this double. They
No.
had this double whammy of Fear and Remain in Light. Just unbelievable.
It doesn't get talked enough
No.
like a golden period, but it's true during this period they could literally do no wrong. I mean, this was
And people always say, "Oh, the '70s are great, '80s didn't have any." And I'm like, dude, if you weren't listening to music, I don't know what the hell you were listening to, unless you were listening to what was on the radio,
right.
top 40 radio. But there was just a shit ton of amazing music recorded during the '80s. You just weren't looking for it, or you weren't listening to it. I could name you 10 artists that did their best work in the '80s. You know, so and this crossing from '79 into '80, Remain
Yeah,
in Light is an '80s album,
it
any
is.
way you look at it.
It is.
So
Well, fear of music probably is too, even though it
Fear
wasn't.
of Music was '79. It was
Yeah.
released in '79, but close. I mean,
Or
it was
okay.
the tail end of the '70s
Yeah.
in
For,
the in the
for,
'80s, but Remain was definitely 1980.
no
So
doubt.
when people talk about the '80s, I'm like, yeah, did you know Remain in Light was released in 1980?
That's right.
It's an '80s album. You know,
Crazy.
and
It's just it's funny how you get a little bit of time and you look at how a short period of time and how great the work is. It's wild,
it
but yeah,
is.
man, I think that's our top T heads records here, guys. That's our top eight. Why don't you tell us
Yeah,
what your top eight is too, man?
yeah. Feel free to leave it in the comments on the YouTube page, and where do you differ from us? Where do you separate? There's no wrong and no right. If somebody comes in and says, "Hey, '77 is my favorite album," I can't argue with that.
No.
I can't argue with Speaking in Tongues is your favorite album. I can't do it.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
agree. I agree. Well, smash the like button for us. Do us a big favor and hit the like button for us, and we appreciate you subscribing and leave your comments. As Dino says, leave those comments next time, and we'll be back at you with the T hit songs right around the corner, man. We'll see you guys next time.
absolutely. Thanks. We'll see ya.
Say